do it. I am an associated member of T3 Trading Group, which is an SEC registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA. All of my trades are placed through T3 Trading Group. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your own financial condition. Position disclosure, I got out of the TQQQ short that I kept over the weekend. I probably should have re-entered that at one point today, and I did not. Out of my Snap long, I'm out of my Shop long, I'm out of my Microsoft long. I got a little bit of this Bed Bath & Beyond long, which I probably shouldn't have. I got trapped in that a little bit this morning on a smaller position when I was doing the morning meeting. Let's look at some charts. So yeah, I mean, today's price action, there should be no real surprise about it. We had a push through failure on the market where we broke Friday's high and came back in. At the end of the day here, we closed down 0.7% for the SPYs, 0.7% for the Qs, and that's a weird noise coming from outside, and 0.85% from the IWM. Again, chart here, this should really be no surprise. This is kind of what we were looking for. We broke through Friday's high. We actually got above $400, and then we rolled back down, and we particularly sold off kind of miserably into the close. Today was definitely a less is more trading session. It's a day. It's the third day, right? We always do less on the third day. First day's a CPI day. Got a super extended. Despite that degree of extension, Friday gave great follow through, but in the usual fashion, right? Friday morning, short-term tactical sentiment was in the red zone, so the market traded real sloppy in the beginning of the day, came back below Thursday's low just to kind of break highs post noon and then grind up into the close, giving us a pretty solid close, but once again, having us be pretty extended. As of Friday's close, we closed at 398.60 with the ADMA at 385.40, so $13 of upside extension. Again, what we have traditionally seen this year, which maybe was a little bit different after this day one because it was just a day one, but for the most part, every time this market is more than $10 above or below the ADMA on the daily chart, it is a struggle to be able to get continuation. And that's usually when you want to begin looking for your shorts. So the last hour of the day on Friday, the little signal I was looking for was already expecting us on Friday to kind of sell a little bit into the close. That happened at 3 o'clock. Again, usually if that sun's going to come in, it's going to be at the end of the day. So I shorted some TQQQ, so leverage NASDAQ short. Covered someone in this move. This bounce back was impressive. It never stopped me out. It never broke highs for the market, so I kept a little bit over the weekend. We gapped down this morning, so no surprise. They made it really difficult on Friday to be able to be short. Then they gapped this market down. But there was no real immediate follow-through. What we discussed in this morning's meeting based on this gap down was that it's difficult to do anything because the gap down is making the short difficult, right? You don't want to short a common gap to the downside as kind of a general rule in a strong market. And obviously, throughout the calendar year, it has not been a strong market, but of course, the last couple of days, it's been very strong. So shorting a common gap down in a strong market is usually not the move. What you would have wanted for a short today would have been like a nice big gap up above $400, something like that. We could have shorted it back through $400, but we didn't get what we wanted. We had this little bit of a gap down, it made the short difficult, but the long is way too early here for the most part also. After such a big move, it's a day 3. Granted, it's a common gap, and common gaps tend to get filled, as this one did, but that's a very difficult trade to be buying off the open because of the degree of downside extension. It's very difficult to be shorting because we're gapping down, and that's satisfying some of that extension, satisfying some of that short-term tactical sentiment that we like to look at. You want to be, looking on the other side. So what we talked about today was, for longs, a deeper pullback, low 390s. That's when you can start doing some of your adding back. I was thinking maybe starting like 394. You can start adding back to longs that you pieced out of on the way up. For shorts, above $400, or if we get some sort of RDR type of situation because it's day 3, where we trade through yesterday's high and then come back below. And that is exactly what ended up happening, which is not a surprise at all. So I hope some people were able to capture that short on the way back down through yesterday's high. I know Ari Baba mentioned that you caught it, which is great. I hope you weren't the only person. I was not involved, and I'm annoyed at myself that I wasn't involved. I covered my short pretty close to lows on this bar for my TQQQ, because we were just a bit extended on that 5-minute chart, and it kind of did what I needed it to do. It hedged me over the weekend, it hedged me into this gap down. So I covered the short, but I did have the plan to kind of re-short as per my game plan, which is, again, we talked about. SPY's getting above 400 and coming back down, or SPY's doing RDR. I also talked about maybe shorting Apple back through 150. If you took either of those trades, you had to be patient for them, but they did work. I'm not involved. Apple I'm not going to short because I'm long, so I'm sticking to that side of the trade. But the market short was there if you were paying attention to it. I don't know. JP Morgan's down a little bit after hours. So yeah. I mean that's pretty much it. So today was definitely less is more type of day. Not a great day for me, to be honest. Not a terrible day for me either. I lost a few dollars on the Bizon idea. That Bowsen, and this one really kind of blew my mind. I don't really have a lot of experience trading this one. I was definitely frustrated by how it traded. This was gapping up along with all the other Chinese names, but I thought that this one had some good news. So I was surprised that the one that had the good news was the one that went from green to red super fast. They all pulled back off the open. Baba pulled back to equilibrium. Not great, but fine. JD, which is super extended on its daily chart, pulled back to equilibrium, created a pivot. Not bad, but fine. Bowsen, which I'm not as familiar with, but I decided to focus on because I thought it had a little bit of news. I thought it looked good above $4. This one just totally failed and cost me some money off the open. I also got caught in the morning meeting in this Bed Bath & Beyond. I was thinking that even though the market is in a difficult spot, I was watching what was green this morning is what I was asking myself. I saw the XBI was green, so I wanted to focus on it. I saw that AMC, GameStop, and Bed Bath & Beyond were all green, and AMC had some news that was probably not that relevant about a decent showing at movies over the weekend or something like that. But again, we know that when this name is green and if people are looking at it, it can really squeeze up. Normally, I don't like buying a day 3 on stocks, so I didn't go to AMC. Bed Bath & Beyond, which is also a garbage company and is probably worth nothing. Just for a trade, though, can certainly squeeze. And whereas that AMC was extended, Bed Bath & Beyond has a little bit of a level at 4. And again, it was trading well pre-market as a secondary play probably to AMC and GameStop. But then I bought a feeler in it. Morning meeting starts. Bad news kind of comes out. They're basically doing a secondary offering. They just totally wrecked that stock down. So I lost a few bucks in Bowsen today. I lost a few bucks in Bed Bath & Beyond today. I made a few bucks in my TQQQ short, but didn't re-enter. Made a few bucks trading a little bit of Shopify intraday. Made a few bucks trading Microsoft intraday. When this one showed decent strength early. I was liking stocks at 9:45 when the market was putting in this low, and that's when I was covering my short. I had remarked to you guys what's not making new lows with the market as this SPY candle is giving a little bit of a doji, and this doji signals that you could get a little bit of a snapback. So all I was looking for is a little bit of a snapback, but if I can get a little bit of a snapback and I'm looking at some stock that's got relative strength, then maybe that's something where you can get kind of better bang for your buck. So one of those was definitely Microsoft. You can see here, just like the market giving a pivot, this is giving a similar pivot, but it's a higher low. So this one was actually very weak in the first 5 minutes, but improved there. Google was another one that was kind of on my radar. It improved there, whereas I thought that Amazon was not able to do it. Apple was also trading weaker. So going after Microsoft, going after Google was better. Microsoft was a little bit of a focus for me there. Made a few bucks on it. Decided to close out the position. I don't know, but before the market closed, then I will reassess again tomorrow. Same thing with Shopify. Just kind of traded that a little bit, got out of it. So I had a few things where I made a couple bucks in, a few things where I lost a couple bucks in. The market did more or less what we expected. A little bit of a push through failure here because the market is so weak. I mean, sorry, so extended, not so weak. It's so extended. And that's it. You know, this is what you want, honestly. Even if you're bullish, this is what you want. You don't want this market to just continue to go straight up. This 2-day move here was dramatic. We need this moving average to catch up. We want a bull flag to build out. We want a higher low to be able to come in. I still think that the idea of a rally into year end is very much on the table, but I don't want it to be just a straight vertical move day after day after day. I want higher highs, higher lows, bull flag continuation patterns, and at least for the small time frame on the daily chart right now, and probably the medium time frame too, bulls are still in control. This candle does indicate that we need further price and time correction. So as of now, you know, we're trading around 395.60 for the SPYs. The ADMA is at not even 388. So we still need some time here for this extension to kind of get satisfied. What we've seen in the past on these bear market rallies is that the rests, the pullbacks, if you will, are usually like 2 to 3 trading sessions. So you could argue that this is maybe a day one, and we might be looking at 1 or 2 more trading sessions of corrective price action, and then we can see if some sort of pivot comes in where there can be continuation of this market or not. We do have the PPI tomorrow, which the PPI has moved the market, but certainly has not been nearly as dramatic as the CPI. So we'll see what those numbers look like tomorrow. I'm sure that will move us tomorrow morning, but not as dramatically as the CPI did. And we'll take it from there. I should have mentioned in the beginning of the meeting, I have a cutoff at 4:45 today because I have to catch a train back to the city. I'm in Long Island right now, but I got tickets to see some premiere of some ski movie in Brooklyn, so I'm going to get back to Manhattan, and then I'm going to get from Manhattan to Brooklyn. But I've got some time here if anybody's got any questions. I don't think that there was too much to actually talk about. So I'm seeing a Teton Gravity Research movie called Magic Hour that I actually know nothing about, but my friend hit me up on it and was like, hey, I'm going to go to this, you should grab a ticket, and I actually know nothing about it at all. It's the premiere of this. Just did a quick Google search on my other screen right now. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Should be fun. Yeah, for sure. I've just watched so many of them on YouTube over the years. Definitely a junkie for a good ski movie, but I've never gone to like a theater or whatever. It's at Brooklyn Bowl, which is actually a concert venue, to see it. So it should be pretty cool. Yeah, awesome. What else we got? 13F's coming out. Yeah, that's awesome. Haven't been to the theaters to see a ski movie yet. This will be the first time. Happy to just rap about skiing. Magic Hour official trailer. Thanks. Miller Bot giving us the trailer for what I'm seeing later. Anybody have any questions on markets or skiing? Berkshire's got that TSM stake. That's interesting. So it's catching a bid. Catching a little bit of a bid after hours. What's my view on crypto after FTX? Overall crypto market is over. I'm sorry, I missed Steve's question. I'll circle back to Steve's question in a second. Yeah, I've never had strong opinions on crypto, to be honest with you. I still don't have strong opinions on crypto on either way. I think it's interesting. It's interesting from an intellectual perspective, this great experiment that they're trying to do. It's a market, from what I have seen, that is tremendously emotional. tremendously emotional, and we just see that so consistently. Like when crypto was in its bubble, and if you said it was in a bubble, like you'd be getting like hate mail, um, and you know, and then when crypto does what it does now, you get the people who, you know, have probably believed that it was not worth anything the entire time. That's when they start to be loudest. So everyone's loudest after the market gives their kind of move. The thing that I've always pointed to about crypto is just show me what the use case is on it. And I've, you know, I wouldn't say I've traded crypto, but I had some, I don't want to call them investments either because I don't have them anymore, like Bitcoin and Ethereum, and that was pretty much it. You know, I've made a couple dollars in that stuff in the past just by holding it, and then I'm like, oh, this looks like it's a bubble, so I'm just going to kind of sell it. So I don't have a strong view, but the thing that I just point to with, and I have some friends who are like very, very crypto maniacs, is just show me what the real use case is that makes this worth the amount of money that it's actually worth. Like, if I talk to you about a stock, and I talk to you about Apple as a company, I can pull out my iPhone in my pocket and be like, every time I buy one of these, the company that I own is making money. I've never understood Bitcoin at all. I think it's cool that there's a scarcity thing with it, so that inherently can give it, you know, some kind of degree of value. But I've never understood it. At least if you go to like an Ethereum, which I would naturally be more bullish on because there is a use case on it. The use case on that so far, while there's a lot of chatter about potential, hasn't really amounted to too much. I mean, what is there? NFTs, which was another bubble that amounted to nothing. You know, so there's some cool technology behind some of the cryptos, but for this stuff to be worth the amount of overall market cap that it's been worth, it was kind of mind-blowing to me. But, you know, as long as people are willing to buy it and trade it, there's a market for it, and you can make money on both sides of that potential market. So I'm not going to call the demise of crypto to a zero. I think without a doubt, a lot of the cryptos are worth zero. I don't understand Bitcoin at all. But, you know, some of them, like an Ethereum or maybe like a Solana or something like that, that have a use case, some of the DeFi stuff, maybe can have some value over time. It's just super, super speculative. So I don't have too much of an interest in it outside of having to being forced to have a thought process on what would a complete and utter blow up of the crypto market do to the equity market, if anything. You kind of had to have that thought process. And there was even that one day recently, which day was that, where we had that afternoon sell-off. That was here. That was on the 8th. This was crypto related. So, you know, at least in a small time frame, crypto can move the equity market, which makes sense, right? Because we know all assets are correlated, and if people are getting margin calls somewhere, they need to raise money somewhere. Sometimes where they're going to go to is, you know, liquidating in the equity market or what have you. But yeah, I don't have a strong take on it, honestly, either way. Let the technicals pay you, and the technicals have been pretty bearish. So, and there was no doubt about it in my mind that at the peak, it certainly was over its skis, since we're using ski analogies today. And yeah, I'm going to leave it at that point. If you're a believer in it, it's a big dip. So if you think that the stuff's not going anywhere, maybe you want to, you know, build into a massive dip. Or if you think it's zero, stay out of it. I'm just going to say I would rather own Apple than Bitcoin. From Steve, interested in your technical opinion on Meta. I'm bullish, but I don't think it kind of lost any upside around 12:30 with a slightly increase in volume. Then also a bearish sweep late in the day. I missed the sweep. You're still in this gap, so there's a room in this gap, I think, up to like 120, 150, 122 kind of big picture on this meta, especially if the market continues to cooperate. So I think that while the market's cooperating, it's fine. Today, probably not the day to be initiating many new positions, though Meta, and I didn't mention it, I mentioned the relative strength that I noticed in Microsoft, which I focused on. Google, it was there also. It was also very much there in Meta and Netflix. And I know lowercase James was all over communicating Netflix early, so great job with that. The Meta relative strength was there very early also. Here's the market pivot low. Look at what Meta did at 945. And then, yeah, I guess it lost some of its mojo around midday. That's not unusual, but it was still a relatively strong stock. So if you were buying anything today, it's like I said, the things that didn't make new lows at 945, I think were a focus. And this Meta is probably one of the best ones that's out there. Didn't have much extension, but the relative strength alone, if you're looking at the market for a bounce back, then this could be something that you look for. And, whatever, the whole market rolled over. I don't think that this thing closed too poorly. This candle's not bad at all, especially compared to the candle in the SPYs or the candle in the Qs. So, we'll see if the relative strength in Meta can stick around as the market digests its extension. And then if the market's able to make some sort of continuation pivot or pattern, then I think Meta's a go-to for the rest of that gap fill. So let's keep it on the radar for sure. Tomorrow we have a print on inflation. Yeah, we have PPI tomorrow. Do you think a hot number negates last week's number? No, I don't. I don't think it'll fully negate last week's number. We just haven't seen PPI reactions be as strong as CPI reactions. So if the number comes in hot, it's not going to be good for sure. And the other thing is that I don't know, it's always about how the market versus expectations, right? So we can obviously simply look up what the economic analysts are forecasting the PPI number to be, and then we know if it's hot or low compared to what expectations are. But what we've also seen a lot is after you get a really big upside move, sometimes just coming in line is not enough. So if the PPI comes in line tomorrow, is that not enough because we've already rallied up? Maybe. I'm honestly not sure. If it comes in hot, obviously not great, but the PPI reactions have been much less strong than the CPI reactions. So, maybe we get a move to 390 on the downside. That would be very reasonable. I mean, the ADMA is not even there yet. But do I see us back at 380 tomorrow on a hot PPI? It would have to be I think absurdly hot in order for that to happen. So I'm not nearly as worried or as nervous going into the PPI with some positions on as I was going into the CPI with some positions on. Blaine is a crypto bear. What do I think of XBI? So XBI was a little bit disappointing for me today. I had it on the list as a long versus 84, and 84 for the most part held today. Biotech was relatively strong pre-market. This IBB has been significantly stronger than is pins moving on that? I just saw the headline there, maybe just a little bit. This IBB has been significantly stronger than XBI has been, and that's been slightly frustrating to me because I'm in Labu, which is really based off XBI and not IBB. You can look into the holdings yourself to see what these stocks are in. What these ETFs are in, but IBB is usually is like bigger companies, and it's more market cap weighted, so it's like very heavy towards, I feel like, Regeneron and BIIB and a couple of those other majors, whereas this XBI is very, very spread out amongst a lot of biotechs. I think it's more like none of them have more than like a couple percentage points or even 1% of the overall ETF. So this one's certainly been the weaker one. $84 was a level. It broke out above that level on Friday. So I think that overall this thing's looking really good. I thought that maybe the relative strength alone would have this be a leader today on upside opening price action, and that was kind of true, but also kind of disappointing. It went green here first. That got me very excited, and then it just totally failed, and it really created some resistance around $86, which makes sense just because of the degree of extension. And then it, roughly held this $84. I don't want this thing to get back below 84, but the ADMA is at 82. So it's like I said in the morning meeting, I like it long versus the 84 area, but if you're just buying this with a stop at $39.99, there's a very real probability of getting shaken out, and then your idea still being right just because of how far away the ADMA is still in the daily. So I like XBI. I'm long via Labu, but I'm just waiting. PSTGs is Pure Storage. I like this company a lot. I have no position. I like the company, Pure Storage. I like the chart. $31 looks like a little bit of a level. This thing was very strong at one point today and rolled back down. I don't know why. But, yeah, overall I like it. Overall I like it through this, like, 31. I guess it's 31.50. 31.50 is the spot. So we can keep that on the radar for tomorrow. Big tail, which I don't love, but let's see how this thing gaps tomorrow. SPGI is gapping down on, is down ticking on what headline? Oh, SEC charges S&P Global Ratings with conflict of interest violations. Nice. From Tate, when do you predict needs to happen for TLT equities correlation to be not as heavy as, say, they were like the last 3 years before this one? Well, I think that the TLT correlation has really started in 2022 of what we've seen of TLT trading down with the market trading down. And I think that that correlation is going to become decoupled a little bit as we move into more of a Fed pausing type of situation. I think that our broader story for this market is going to be slowly evolving not like tomorrow it's all of a sudden going to be different, from a story of inflation and interest rates to a story of the economy. And I think that it's going to be in the process of that evolution that we see this TLT, which has basically been TLT down, TLT up, market up broadly, start to decouple a little bit. So I think that we might already be at the very beginning of starting to see that actually happening now. The dollar is still extremely important that we have to pay attention to also. From Russell on Snap, is 12 an actionable level? Yes. Yeah, it is. I've been watching this stock a lot, so I got a good feel for a lot of the levels here. It's really like 12.50, I think, at this point is the bigger spot. The Snap has traded really well. It's fully filled this gap. I liquidated my position on Friday. I'm looking to reassess, looking to buy a dip. It's a little bit extended here. So I think 12 to 12.50, really 12.50 is certainly an actionable level, but you got to see what it looks like when it gets up there. Like if it got to $12 today, I would have wanted no part in buying that. You'd be buying a day 3, the 80 maybe would be at 10.50 and the stock would be at 12. So you want to know your levels, but whether or not, when a stock is approaching a level, whether or not you want to trade it, a lot of that is going to have to do with the other confirming factors that we always talk about. Is the volume there? What does the extension look like? And for me, you might have this beautiful level, but I don't want to buy heavily extended stocks on day 3. It was even like that AMD today. Like, AMD got 2 upgrades. It's like, okay, congratulations from those analysts. Where were they this morning? Not upgrading the stock. They got to wait for the stock to rip from 65 to 75 to come out and upgrade the stocks. And now you want me to buy a day 3? I don't think so. If anything, that's just asking for the smart people who are already involved to have the opportunity to be booking profit into that type of gap that's being created by those analysts. So that's why I was saying, if anybody's still in this AMD from any of these breakout levels that we're looking at for any reason, I'd be booking profit this morning, not looking to buy. This is crazy. So I know it's different because with AMD it wasn't a level, it was just kind of a news situation. But I think that the same thought process applies. Know your levels, know what's in the news, know what's potentially in play, but look at it through a lens of those key layers of probability that we always talk about. Because not all level is necessarily going to be created equal. A level is going to be, a good trade if it's a good setup into the level, and not just because it's ticking it on that individual day. So, hope that helps, Russell, and I hope you enjoyed your Veterans Weekend. From Cold Smoke on AZTA. Oh, just mention it. Up big after hours on news, on earnings. Boom. Boom, boom. I've been bearish on Coinbase from the start, but for different reasons, honestly, than crypto. Josh letting everyone know that there is no money that is insured with coin. They got no FDIC or SIPC or anything like that. They're not a bank. Yeah, so if you're worried about any of those things blowing up or whatever, then you could go into like a cold storage system or whatever if you're a believer. If you're a crypto believer. And my so my whole thing with coin from the beginning hasn't been crypto is why I've been bearish. It's the business. You know, I don't see how, and I have a Coinbase account. I don't think it has any money in it anymore. Because like I said, I sold my positions and kind of liquidated it, and I've just moved on a little bit with my life. But I just was looking at the commissions that I was paying on Coinbase when I executed stuff, and I'm not actively trading. It just was like, you know, buying a little bit of stuff once in a while, and I was like, there's no way this is gonna be able to last. I mean, they're gonna have a race to the bottom, and then they're gonna, you know, be doing selling your orders to HFT firms just like the brokers are to make money in a little bit more difficult way. Yeah, pins. Pat just typed above. Oh, you're not in the VTF. Let me look it up for you. I think Elliot increased their share stake by, I'm not sure if it's by 15 million shares or to 15 million shares. But that's what's going on in pins after hours right now. Oh, nice. That's 25. Aha. I may or may not be trading pins. You cannot tell by the button clicking that you hear because I'm not allowed to say if I'm trading a stock when I'm on YouTube. From Hemming, and then I might have to go after this question, but I'll do my best. I started shorting Apple around 11:20 at 148. Okay, because it was breaking down to this consolidation, I guess. I said to stop around 187.70. Sorry, 148.70. Okay. The high of this consolidation. So 148.66 is that high. So I'd be using 148.67 probably if I was shorting this pattern, which I probably wouldn't short this pattern. But if I was trying to short the breakdown of this pattern, I would either be using a tighter stop, like right at the high of the bar in which it kind of begins to break down from. So I could use 148.25, or I'd be using the absolute pivot high of all of this, which is 148.66. And then again, I go a penny above. You wanted to get covered at 147.30, so you did not get the fill, and the trade failed. How will you take action on this idea to get a better risk reward? So I would start by saying that I probably wouldn't be involved in the trade to begin with because I don't love the idea, and that just kind of goes back to where the market's trading. But as far as it goes, you traded it right. You know, you waited for the breakdown. You use the pivot high as your stop loss. That's all correct. The only adjustment that you could make, and I'm not saying that what you did is wrong and this is right. I think that they're both right in two different ways. What you could do is you could just use the bar in which the breakout begins to occur of this little tighten pattern here as your stop loss, which is this 148.25. So I don't love that. I don't love this high either. So I don't really love either. If you're really getting this breakdown and the market's giving its price correction, you're going to get paid on the trade though. So I think it's an okay trade. I just think you're in a tough spot for the market to be executing it there. Absolutely, Tate. That's correct. From Steve, I agree on your theory that the market will move away from an inflation story to more of an earnings economy story. I see that as mostly bearish. What about you? Or I'm wondering if you'll just watch the price action. Well, I'm always going to watch the price action to confirm the idea, but I always do want to have an idea. And when it comes to where this market belongs in that scenario, Steve, if we're correct, a lot of that's going to have to do with the hard landing, soft landing story. How well can these companies pass on, higher costs, as an example? So far, they've been able to do a pretty good job on that. How bad is the job stuff going to get? Because is it just that we're getting rid of a whole lot of excesses, in which case, people aren't really going to lose their job so much as be able to just dictate their terms of their job, which is kind of how it's been recently. That's going to be more of a soft landing type of deal, and then the market, will probably come down a little bit, but maybe even this absolute low that we've seen on this year ends up holding. If it's a more vicious, if it's a little bit more vicious of a cycle of the economy deteriorating, then we could be seeing more like 320 in the SPYs. And I really don't know the answer to that. I think to steal a line from the Fed that doesn't like to put their neck out on anything, a lot of that's going to be data dependent, right? The data is going to be there. I think for the moment, I still do think that the soft landing thing is a possibility. Is it going to happen? I don't know, but we'll see. So yeah, I don't really see, at least in this moment, but this is I don't like making these bigger forecasts. I don't really see us losing this October low by too much. Like 330 in the SPYs, reasonable. 320 in the SPYs could absolutely happen. 275 in the SPYs, I struggle to see it. But I don't really like the bigger, grander calls like that, because I've got no real technical data or thought. I'm just totally guessing stuff. So it's going to depend on just how bad this soft landing, hard landing thing plays out, and how well the Fed is able to bring that inflation down. Because even though it's going to be an evolving story, it's not like the inflation portion of that story is going to totally go away. The Elliott increased from 5 million shares to 15 million shares. Wow. Brian, I've been looking at my my video camera on the house out there in Victor, Idaho, and it's just been dumping snow. I wish I was there for Targie's opening day. I think Targie opening day is going to be sick. They got so much snow already sitting there, just waiting to be shredded. I'm very upset. I was originally going to be driving out in October, and now we delayed it, and now I'm very upset that I'm stuck in New York. I just got to go. I got to go to Brooklyn in the concrete jungle and watch ski movies and pretend in my head, as opposed to actually being a hair away from getting to shred the powder. So I'm jealous. I hope it's not like last year. Last year you got that big storm into like the end of December that I missed. I got there in the beginning of January, and then everyone was like, this is the worst year at Jackson in 18 years. So everybody was giving all these great statistics. But I think it's going to be a good one this year too. That La Nina or whatever hopefully comes together. Yeah, for sure. Mike. Yeah. I mean, hey, you never know. TSM getting that big bid. All right, guys. Looks like I got through everything. I got to jump. I got to catch a train. Have a great night, everybody. I will see you all tomorrow.